Thank you all for bearing with the technical difficulties. I should have told you this at the very beginning. So I'm going to turn over to Emily now, and she's going to tell us a little more background about improvisational work in theater and educational spaces, and then lead us through an activity, maybe two if we're lucky, and then we'll have some question and answer time.
Okay,
So
great.
over to you, Emily.
I'm delighted that so many of you have experience with Spolin. I feel like her name is not out in the world and is not used as much as it should be. One of her quotes was, "Improvisation is not a detour from art; it's a doorway into it." And I really feel that with the way that I use improv for myself as an artist as well as a performer. So Viola, for those of you who don't know, is often considered the mother of improvisation. And she was more than a theater innovator. She was an educator, a social reformer, a champion for play as a transformative force for learning. She was inspired by Neva Boyd in Chicago, and she originally devised the games not just to solve problems in the theater, but also to solve problems in the social work that she would area that she was working in. So she had a lot of students who didn't speak English and impoverished, and so she started to create these games so that the kids could communicate and they could solve a lot of the issues that they were facing as a community. So her theater games, as someone put in the chat, they are very structured. She really felt that creativity flourished within structure, so it's freedom within structure. And so that was really important. That's why I really highly recommend Improvisation for the Theater, the book, if you don't have it. It is a gold mine for exercises and learning about her theory, but it precisely gives you that structure, and there's no room for, misunderstanding or getting it wrong, not wrong, but making it less effective. So let's see. I think that's really important in teaching, is balancing that freedom and form and that structure but you can risk within the structure. So it gives people that ability to be free and also stay confined. And I really learned that. I taught a class of kindergartners improv, and they were all pandemic kids, and they really struggled with it. And I saw this massive difference from the first class to the last class. In the first class, they couldn't even stand in a circle. It was like very, very hard to get through to them. And by the end, they were doing all sorts of things and performing. So I think that structure really, really helped them. They weren't used to it, but it helped them. Through the games, it encourages students, and somebody mentioned this, to fully engage. And we're such a mind focused learning. There's such a mind focus in learning in the US, and you have to sit down and read your textbook and memorize your things. And this is the way you could do it. This is the only way to do it. This is the only way to solve this problem. Our education is filled with this is right, this is wrong. And Viola didn't subscribe to that. She subscribed to there were many, many ways to solve a problem, that you learn with your whole body. So your voice, your body, get it all engaged into the space. She always said your mind is very limited, but the infinite is endless possibilities. The space is endless possibilities. So, that's very, very good in the classrooms, but it also dismantles fear and perfectionism. So in the evaluation, you're never saying like, that was good, or that's a subjective response. It's always to keep your responses objective and based on, did they do the focus, and were they, did they solve the problem? So those two things, and conversation or evaluation spawns from that, but that's how you evaluate, to keep it out of that dichotomy of right and wrong. So yeah, it's
Really, it's
active.
really great to hear you say that. And I'm just thinking about, what you said a moment ago. Improv is such a holistic, it's mind, body, heart. It's a holistic way of learning, theater improv. It's learning by doing and not just learning by, verbal linguistic means or linear, mathematical, analytical means. It incorporates everything that we are, right? Because we're not just these disembodied heads. We're a whole organism with all the parts, and improv taps into that. So
Yeah, and I think about the world of AI and where we're heading, and I really feel that this work is so important for that as well, because it's really getting you involved and alive and experiencing something rather than a passive learning experience. Who knows where that is going, but yeah. So let me just see if there's anything I've kind of missed on her. Um, Yeah. One of the things that I found also to be very interesting doing this work in the schools is I've had many performances where the kids don't speak English. And, there was some conversation amongst us whether we, would do a Spanish performance. But one of the things that Viola focused on was using these games to teach English. And a lot of them are based in how do you interpret body positions and movement and energy and facial expressions. So it really causes you to listen, not just with your ears, but your whole body. So I think that's actually really very powerful. Choosing games that are helpful for that, because that's how she developed it. She didn't know how to communicate with these kids. And that's one of the things that the games do is they teach you to communicate with all of your senses and all of your abilities, right? Yeah, do you want me to go over some ways you can use it in your practice?
I do, but I wonder if I might ask you to lead us through maybe at least one activity first, and then we can unpack after,
Okay.
if to. Just keeping an eye on time and wanting to make sure that you have a chance to actually walk us through some of these things and share how you operationalize on Zoom, since we're not in a room together and all that. So yes, and.
Okay. Well, I picked something kind of simple, but one of the things that Viola has done with her book and with the whole system is that she created games that built on each other. And so I picked something, a sensory exercise that things build on. So mirror. And okay, so I'm going to read you exactly what she says because I don't want to get it wrong. So the focus is on exact mirror reflection of the initiator's movements. So we're going to have people like pair up. And I think the easiest way to do it is one pairs with two. And what you're going to do, two with three, three with four, and so on. What you're going to do is you're going to pin that person. So it'll take you out of gallery view so that you can just see that one person.
And one question I'll just ask, does anyone need help or a little
It's up
tutorial?
on the three dots that you used to number yourself off.
Camille doesn't have a camera and she's number 5. So this would be impossible.
Does somebody who is not numbered want to play?
I can play.
Great.
Deirdre, this is RD, and I am number 5, and I am here. So I'm not quite certain what's going on because now I'm being skipped over.
Your camera's not on.
Fine, then I'll sit it out and unnumber myself.
Oh, and thank you for the adjustment. I don't mean for anyone to be left out. We're just operationalizing the best we can on Zoom, so I appreciate everyone's patience as we work through that. We probably won't be able to see everyone's pairings, but thank you, and thank you for being willing to do that. And oh, and Gilda, okay, great.
It's temporary, but yes, I can pair with, I'm pairing with Deidre. Yes.
Just for if you do this and you have an odd number, you can always do a group of 3. and that works pretty well. Okay. So what you're going to do is I recommend doing it standing up to get your full body involved.
Huh.
If you can. If you can't, please stay seated. Don't hurt yourself. This is not about that. And what you're going to do is you are going to reflect all of the movements of your player that you're paired with, head to foot, including facial expressions. And so I'm going to start. Oh, one other thing. Usually we do it, the players that are paired, it's A or B. So I can also call even number and odd number, which is easier, do you think?
I think even or odd.
Yeah, I think so. So what I'll be doing is I'll be calling out even, and that person is initiating. And then when I call out odd, it switches. And so that person is initiating, which means basically that they're leading the motion and the other person is following their motion or reflecting their motion. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, I guess not. Great. Okay, so we're going to start out and have, oh, one other thing that makes this easy is doing a larger motions, smooth motions. You're not trying to trick your partner. You're not trying to, get over on them. You're trying to actually actively reflect every movement. Okay, so let's do evens initiating. And odds fully reflect. Use your full body if you can. Reflect only what you see, not what you think you see. Keep the mirror between you. Odds. Keep the movement moving, if that makes sense. Evens. Now change. Odds. Reflect fully your whole body, your eyes, your mouth. Switch initiators. And switch again. And change again. Change. Change initiators again. Change initiators. Keep the mirror between you. Change. Change again. Change. Change initiators. Just keep going, Gilda. Just keep going. Change. Feel yourself following the follower. Change. Change. Change initiators again. Change. 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 Keep going. Change. 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 Okay.
And Emily, are we pausing there then? We've just
Yeah, that's the,
Should we unpin our colleagues, our friends?
yes, I would unpin.
Come back to the group. Interesting.
I know, right? I can pose you some questions or have you guys speak a little bit about your experience. For example, did you feel a difference between reflection and initiation?
I would say I think I felt like we got into a groove to whereas I didn't really feel a difference.
Towards the end, it was yes, definitely a groove. I definitely preferred to follow than lead, less pressure.
I'll add on to that too and just say that there was a point where the changes got faster and faster, where I don't know about you, Adrienne, but I lost track of who was supposed to be leading and following.
So that actually that's a more advanced version of it. It essentially you're looking to get towards an experience that she calls follow the follower. So where you no longer know who's initiating and who is not, and it's this liminal space where you're fully reflecting each other, and it becomes this experience where nobody's leading and nobody's following. She uses it a lot in other games, and it's a really powerful place to get to.
Did anything come up for other folks in the doing this and or doing it on Zoom?
I found it initially quite difficult to lead simply because I think my expectation, which again, maybe that's something to explore about biases or expectation, but the way the camera is framed was really inhibiting what I was able to do or how it came across. So at one point, I almost looked at myself to see what I was communicating, to look at my view of me, just to see, okay, what am I communicating here? Is it clear? And how to make it clearer? Because it felt quite jerky at the beginning.
I felt myself, I think, being too polite as far as the movement is concerned, because I wanted it to slow down the pace so it wasn't so having the other person to guess what I was going to do. But then that was limiting too, because I feel like it changed from that first to then relying on an overall like thought to animate a thought as opposed to trying to be completely perfect and mirroring the person. And once you got gestures, big enough gestures that are kind of like, universal, more universal than anything else, it became a lot easier to follow or get the concept.
It's an interesting way to move from this kind of movement to creating an ensemble, because in ensemble playing, everybody's on the same page or one step ahead waiting to get what the next first person is giving them. So this is an interesting kind of exercise for that.
Yeah, there is an advanced game called Transformation of Relationship, where you use the mirror to create a scene or an embodiment of an animal or something. And it's you basically start with the mirror, then through the follower, you see the scene come to life, like you're ditch diggers or something. You play a little of that out, and then you go back into mirror. So it's a way of generating ideas and causing things to pop through joint mind, right? You're moving into something like group mind together. And that was really, really important for Viola, one of the most important things. So did you have any assumptions that prevented the full reflection? I think Ian touched a little bit on that. Did you have any preconceived notions or self-talk during it?
I felt more comfortable doing things with my body than with my face, for one thing.
That's interesting. All right. Did you know? Oh, no, we covered that already. Is there anything anyone wants to add to this?
I'll add that I'm noticing. Oh, Camille, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually like that Ian went so slow because I'm usually working on such a fast pace. It was really nice to just slow down and watch and not know where he was going yet because it was very slow. And notice when I went elsewhere and when I was in tune with Ian. So I mean I like doing slow and fast. But I wanted to say that I also appreciated those moments of real slow motion. They also provided learning and humor.
Yeah, so one of the things that this game it does is it causes you to focus so much on someone else and to get out of your head, to get out of your way. It cultivates the ability to focus. And in some cases, when I play it, I often feel empathy. You're connecting with somebody who may not look like you or be like you or speak the same language as you. And by fully penetrating with your vision, you are learning more about them and breaking down barriers. And it really helps. I find that a lot of people have difficulty listening, but mirror helps kids especially to learn how to really listen because they learn how to deeply focus, and it's for nonverbal cues. And this is really great for ESL people as well. It creates any sort of nonverbal game creates a shared presence and trust. So it's about also team building, right?
Yeah. That's incredibly powerful, Emily. I wrote a note just before you were speaking about how what you walked us through, even though Mirror is one of the foundational games, and some people might say, well, it's a very simple game. Simple not as a derogatory term, but just it's a very elemental foundational game. But you walking us through that, it really it allows us to use all of our senses rather than words, and kindly, gently forces us to focus on collaboration. Like the goal of the game is for everyone to be successful and to find, as you said, that shared mind, which we don't talk about or think about in structured educational spaces very much, but it's really about it's team building, it's collaboration, it's creating ensemble, it's creating trust, it's activating our mirror neuron, literally activating our mirror neurons through the mirror game and creating empathy. And you talked about, it lowers barriers. it really does. When there's trust and there's an experience of working with another person towards a shared goal, um, that creates, stronger community ties, and it does lower barriers. We start to focus on the things we have in common rather than things that are different. And I don't know what's more needed in the world right now than that. So it's really something to think about, you
Yeah, I
know?
feel like people can go through their whole day and not really see somebody, and this helps with that. I also really like using this game before any creative endeavor. It really centers people. It connects them with their intuition and their what I call the creative impulse or spark. It kind of grounds me in a really powerful way.
I had a question. Can you repeat? There was a prompt you gave that really helped me with that. You were like, don't do what you think you're seeing. Do you know what I'm
Right.
talking about, Emily? Yeah.
So you're looking to reflect, not imitate.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's a fine distinction, but it's an important distinction. And I think that a lot of what we do in the world is we imitate. We don't reflect, or reflecting is really engaging with the other person. Imitation creates a space between you, right? It's what you think you're seeing rather than what you're actually seeing. That is a very scientific thing. They run tests and they see that people think they're seeing something or think they're not seeing something, and because of their focus, right? Yeah. Were there any other questions on this? Do you want to talk a little bit about how you can use some of these games in your classroom or in your art practice? I mentioned that I like to use it as a warm-up. There are also a lot of traditional games that Neva Boyd developed that Viola used, and I use at the beginning of every workshop. They're simple, like red light, green light if it's a young class. If they're older, there's other games you can use. And it gets everybody playing, which is really important. It gives you joy and excitement, and you're happy to be there, and it wakes up your learning. So you can always use and rely on those to warm everybody up. It just gets you in the moment. You can start or end a class with a quick game to energize and build connection. If everybody's feeling a little of the 3 o'clock blues or whatever, you can use the games to inject attention and energy, and in some cases reduce anxiety. I've seen kids who were very, very anxious come up on stage and then later tell me that they were able to involve themselves in the moment in a way that their anxiety kept them from doing. You can use them. She's arranged them according to problems and different areas like physical and sensory, and building the where, so that you can use them to explore different themes or solve different problems that you're having and in your classrooms. But you can use them for storytelling. You can even use them for creating systems in science. Some of the games, the way that you think is like it makes you think in more scientific ways. I often do it before. Oh, go ahead.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but is there a way a specific example you can think of? Like what's a game that leads to a more traditionally scientific way of thinking, or that lends itself to that sort of analytical linear?
I pulled a couple out. Let me just see if I can find them.
And again, I appreciate I'm putting you on the spot. So
No, that's fine. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so with mirror, you can really do it for learning about animals, and in like that type of biology sense, really observing what's going on with them rather than imitating what you think they're seeing. I like to use a game like that for animal images, where the kids embody animals and you try to get them to, embody the animal rather than do what they think the animal should be doing. Where else was that? Hold on. I have too many documents open. I apologize.
Well, you're in good company there.
There's some counting games and some games that are a little bit more mind-based. I might have to look a little further on that. But
No, no worries. You answered it. Thank you. That's great.
In many ways, I find that, I struggled a lot in school with geometry because I would be able to solve the theorem, but I would never solve it the way they wanted me to solve it. And so I would not do well because I came up with a different way of solving it. A lot of mathematical things, you have to come up with a proof. And even, I think probably they've gotten less strict about that in geometry, but it makes you think outside the box and solving something in a different way.
Mm-hmm. The games, the way each of the games is structured is it has a goal usually, and it has some constraints built in. And so the normal way you might go about doing that thing, you have to think on your feet of a different way of solving that problem because there's this constraint in place. Like you don't use your voice, or you stand in place, or you're constantly in motion. There's some sort of guideline or constraint that requires us to activate different parts of our brain, creative critical thinking, to come up with the solution or achieve the goal in ensemble.
I did find what I was looking for. So Who Started the Motion is a game. And what it does is according to my research, it activates chain reactions, or it's the way to think in a system. Mm-hmm. And for what that's worth, yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm mindful of our time. So I want to offer a couple things. Let's take maybe 2 or 3 minutes for folks to open up questions or ask you specific questions about what's a game you might recommend, Emily, for this, or what's, a challenge that comes up frequently in learning spaces or art making spaces that might be solved by one of these problems. We could probably take a couple, maybe 2, maybe 3 questions. And then I know that you have a handout you'll want to share with us, and Gilda also has a survey for the end of the session. So I want to walk us through those next few minutes and do those things. So yeah, we can open up for other questions. I see a couple hands already. Ian, and then Tanakis, and
Okay. Hello, can everybody hear me? Great. Okay. Question is, since we're on this the mirror exercise, what's a good I see this as almost like a starting point and then moving on to something. I know you said that you use it with animals, but what's another like transition game that can be like, if this is the entrance point, mirrors, what's a good game to transition to, like a level 2?
A level 2. Well, there's several addendum mirror games. The one that would be next, if you're going to stick within mirror, is moving on to Follow the Follower, which many of you achieved in the workshop, in the game we've just played, which was great. That's really the point of that, is to figure that out, how not to initiate. Really can.
No, I was just responding. Like, like, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just adding.
Because so much she really tries to get everybody away from initiating and seeing games, so it becomes a group creation and a group mind. It really could be anything. You could do space work after that. I don't know if you're aware of what that is, but it's getting people into the space and, say, doing, opening a jar, or taking a baseball bat, or, cleaning something. It gets you using the space in a different way. It really is a launching pad for all the work. Am I being specific enough for you, Ian?
No, that's great. Because I found a good exercise, which was found object, and I used that as a kind of springboard into like pantomiming or and getting more specific or storytelling at beginning, middle, and end type of thing to advance. So no, that was great. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, it definitely can be used with building a story, that game. I don't know if you know it. Basically, somebody's pointing to the students to keep telling the story as a whole. And the mirror gets you to focus so well that then they start to focus on the story as well as the coach.
Great. And Tanakis, you had a question, and then Lynn. We have time for Tanakis and then one more Lynn. I saw
I'll be quick. I'm really looking for games that force the students to collaborate and group to make decisions as opposed to leaving people out and one person being the boss. Things that really just kind of create community. If you could share any of those.
Oh, sure. There's tons of them. So a fun one, if you want to be physical, is tug of war, because it gets them thinking and working on a space object together. Basically, you're in space playing a game of tug of war. I really like that one. Gosh, all of them.
And you mean effectively miming with the space objects tug of war. There's no actual rope.
No, there's no rope. So I can read you out the game if you'd like, the exact
I actually know it, but I'll take as many as you can spit out.
gosh.
If you have one more to suggest, Emily, for that, and then we'll hear Lynn's question. That would be great.
I like shoot, I just mentioned it. Who started the motion? That's really, really good for group community. I'll think a little bit of it and I can pop it into something for you if you like, Tanakis. Oh, and a good one is Camera. Do you know that game? Okay, well, you want everybody to be within a certain frame. You set up like boundaries and everybody's weaving in and out of each other. And then you call picture and everybody has to make themselves seen in unusual ways and they have to freeze. So it's working your way in and out of people without bumping into them. And you slowly make the boundary smaller and smaller and smaller. And then they have to help each other. You want to help your fellow person be seen. So if you're blocking them, you got to move or what have you. It gets them kind of thinking together like a swim.
Thank you for that. And Lynn, what was your question?
Mine's easy and quick. It's regarding when I first logged on. I apologize. I thought it started at 4. But when I logged on, you were talking about the book, the theater book, Theater Improvisation. Is that right?
There's several books. I'll pop them in. They're in the takeaway handout I created. But it's violaspolin.org, and she has a book for how to teach these games in the classroom, specifically geared towards the classroom. This is more specifically geared toward the theater, but it's really a Bible. You can pick so many things out of it.
Okay.
And it has some of the traditional games. I really recommend those too.
Yeah, this is really helpful. I teach after school art, and sometimes the kids are just not really focused. So this is great. Thank you.
I would recommend also Neva Boyd's recreational games. I think it's called. In this, they have some of the more traditional games in the back, but playing something like that can really, really calm people down, especially at the end of the day. Get some of the winds out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I know that Emily, you have a handout, a digital handout. I don't know if you want to drop in the chat or have Gilda send it out as an email to the group afterwards. We can do either or both.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then Gilda, if you don't mind dropping into the chat again, I know you already put it once. I would like to ask everyone to please fill out the little short Google survey just on this session. We started this year, and we're always looking to sort of grow and adjust the series to fit the needs of the community that we're trying to engage. So we would love to have your feedback, everyone, on that. And Gilda just dropped the link again if you didn't see it earlier in the chat. If you would take a couple minutes right now and fill out that survey, we'd be so grateful. I want to say, Emily has something to say, and then I will wrap us up.
Just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I also wanted to say there's a book called Theater Games for the Lone Actor. So if you're like, oh God, I don't have anyone to play with, they're really great for getting you into your creativity and into your body. So I do a lot of those games before I sit down to write, or if I'm like warming up for an audition or something. It's great. They're really good.
Okay, thank you.
Emily, thank you so much for your time and being our presenter today. We really appreciate it and talking about improvisation and how it might help us engage folks in educational settings. It was lovely to have you. Thank you. Welcome to the community. And thank you, everyone, for your time and for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at the next Artist Educator Connect event. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
I'm going to put this in really quick.
And we'll email out as well.
Okay, great.
Oh, both and. Yes, and.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. Take your surveys. Take your surveys.
Thank you.
Bye.